Okay, students, welcome back, and now you are in intermediate level of Adobe Illustrator. As you already have strong foundation knowledge from my basics lessons, and now onwards we are going to do some real world projects, and through those projects you are going to learn a lot of theories and techniques of graphic design. Therefore, as the first part of the lesson, we are going to start with developing a double-sided flyer design, something like this. Through this lesson you will learn some primary theories like what is bleed, what is safe line, what is streamline, so on, and a few important notes that you must keep in mind when doing a print based design like flyers, brochures, posters, so on. So let's start to learn how to develop a professional, simple and high-end look flyer design like this. Before we start, let's analyze the design and try to remind what principles that I used on this design as I taught you in my basic lessons. So in here you can see how I balance the design with pictures, graphic elements and text content asymmetrically, as you learned in fundamentals. And also I maintain the color consistency on the design element. As well as I spoke about alignments, visual hierarchy, proximity in my fundamental lessons. So you can realize those principles are applied in this design as well. Okay, so let's begin. Before creating a document, make sure you are in print and proofing workspace. If not, set the workspace to print and proofing from workspace menu. Keep in mind, when you focus in a design for print like flyers, posters, brochures, business cards, so on, always set the workspace to print and proof from here. Then let's create a A5 size document. So you can toggle to the new document dialog box. Then let's activate print option, because when you're doing a design for print on materials, it should be in CMYK color mode, and the document, the resolution should be 300 dpi. So if I click advanced option here, you can see it's already CMYK and resolution is 300 dpi. Right. So if you choose the print option, you do not require to customize them again and again from here, as they already set up. Now let's create an A5 document which is standard size of a flyer design. If you divide the length of the A4 by 2, that measurement is considered as a A5 size. So if I choose A4 from here, and then let me set the unit for millimeter, and here this is what the length of A4 size. So if I divided it by 2, it's 148.5. so let's type here that value. And as I need portrait document, so let's change the orientation to portrait from here. I click create button. Okay, now we are ready with the document, but before we start a design, you have to set bleed and safety line. So let's create them first, and after that let me explain what are they. First let's set up the bleed line. So to do that, let's click this document setup button here, and in the dialog box make sure unit is millimeter. So you can guys keep in mind, bleed line should be kept at least 3 millimeter distance from the document boundary. So keep in mind, the document boundary referred as a trim boundary. Okay, so make sure link button is on here, and then type here 3 millimeter. So you can see same values automatically added on other boxes as I turned on link button. Then click OK. Now you can see a red color border around the document, right? And this is what called bleed line, and the margin between the bleed line and the document boundary is 3 millimeter. Okay, kindly note, this line is non-printable and functioning as a guide. So basically guides are non-printable lines. Now let's set safety line. To do that, first open the layer panel from here, then double click the layer name and let's rename it die line. Okay, then pick a rectangle tool and click on the page, then type actual width and height values of the document. So in here type 148.5 millimeter and in here type 210 millimeter and click OK. Now open the align panel and align the rectangle shape exactly center of the document. Okay, now we are gonna set safety line. Guys, always keep in mind safety line should be set at least 5 millimeter margin inside from the document boundary. To do that, I'm going to use offset path option. So choose object, path, offset path. Now as I want to set safety line border inside the document with 5 millimeter margin from the document boundary, in here let's type -5 millimeter. And now if I turn on the preview mode, you can see here another border is generated inside the document with 5 millimeter margin from the document boundary. And click OK. Now I'll right click on the object and choose make guides, because I don't want to visible this safety line on the print. So always make sure to turn it to the guide as they are non-printable lines. And also make sure to remove the fill color and stroke color from here. There we go. Then guys, select the very first rectangle shape you drew and delete it since you do not need it more. Okay, right, now we are ready with bleed line and safety line. So let me explain what is trim line, bleed line and safety line. The trimming line is the cutting line of your actual artwork size. In here the document boundary referred as a trimmed line as it is an actual artwork size. So we did not apply a separate trim line here, but in some cases keep in mind we need to show trim line in some artworks which you will learn through upcoming projects. In here you do not need to show a trim line. Okay, now let's see what is bleed line. In printing, bleed line mean that it goes beyond the edge of where the sheet or document or artwork will be trimmed. In other words, the bleed is the area to be trimmed off. Therefore, images, background images and color fields must be extended beyond the trim line to give a bleed. So let's think of what happens if you not keep a bleed. Basically, without a bleed, it leads to create a teeny white margin around the artwork after trimmed via bigger cutting machines in mass printing industries. So here is an example for well trimmed flyer by keeping a bleed, and example for improper output after cut artwork as a result of not keeping a bleed. So always better to keep bleed when you're doing a design for mass print. Let's say if you are using your normal inkjet printer machine or photocopy type machine like Ricoh multifunction machines, even if you keep bleed or not, by default those printer machines are generating teeny white margin around the document edge once print. But according to the advanced technology, some general printer machines have bleeding options to set up. Anyhow, that depends on the machine you have. Therefore, always better to extend images and background images to bleed line for better output. Okay. Finally, let me clarify what is safety line. The safety line is a margin inside from the cut line where all text content must be contained. If you place text outside of the safety line, you risk having the text trimmed off in the cutting process. Therefore, always make sure text content to be inside the safety line. Okay, right. Now you have an idea what is cutting line, bleed and safety line. Finally, before you start designing, let's open the view menu and make sure smart guide option is on here. And tap this arrow mark button to go more down, and make sure snap to point option is also on, and make sure other options are off here. Okay, now we are ready to initiate the designing part, so let's move to the next lecture to go ahead with that. Thank you.